Hello, and welcome to another Saturday food support group. We have these Zoom meetings every Saturday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. And I just invite people to come and to share their stories because I've had so many people reach out to me in private messages and tell me their stories. And I just couldn't keep it for myself. I had to share with you all of the beautiful things that are happening when people break their addiction to sugar and carbs and processed food. And they get their brains back, they get their bodies back, they get their lives back. And they're just so excited that they can't wait to tell. And so I informed everyone that I would be recording these meetings, and I encouraged them that if they wanted to remain anonymous, that they can turn the camera off. But a lot of people they want to share. They want to share what has happened to them, and they're so excited about their new life. And then I also open it up for questions. If people are still struggling and they're still on this journey, that they can come and ask questions. But if you need more individualized care than just in a group like this, feel free to email me at innerclaritysystem@gmail.com, and I'll walk you through what it looks like to work with me one-on-one. All right, thanks. I hope you enjoy the group. Hello, happy Saturday. We have another Saturday food support group, and we just get together every Saturday and we talk about what our experience has been like eating this way and breaking our addiction to sugar and processed foods. And today we have quite a few added visitors. Well, they're people who usually come, but interestingly enough, they are gathered together. So Tom, go ahead and tell us where you're at and why there's so many people there. What's going on?
I'm checking my microphone off. Shoot, just waving at anyway. Okay, I just took my phone off. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Hey, having fun at the meetup. Got a great weekend. Your name's come up numerous times, just saying. It's all good.
Yeah,
so where are you guys at?
We're at a park in Shark River Park in New Jersey. And this is really close where I grew up. So it's like, I know all this whole area, so it's a lot of fun. Kelly Hogan's staying with me. We're 3 miles away from the carnivore doctor's house, and we're having a good time. Doing some events, doing some stuff. It's all good.
If you follow Dr. Lisa Wiedemann on Instagram, she did a video last night. It was an impromptu live, and it was an argument between Dr. Litz and one of the meeting attendees. It was really, really good. So if you get a chance to watch that, it was a great back and forth. And
I didn't even listen to it. I was at another conversation. So.
She was like an oblivious over there back by the kitchen, and I was over the left shoulder listening in intently. So it was good. So if you get a chance to watch that.
Yeah. But anyway, I'm out of here. Just want to say hi.
Yeah.
All right. See you guys. Have fun.
Yeah, I don't want to, so I want to do the same thing, Emily. So, we love you. We know we're thinking about you. So.
But real quick, what's it like to be around all those other people eating the same way that you're eating?
It really feels nice that you feel like you're with your own people. That's kind of strange because everybody has the same thought process or have the same background, medical issues in the past and why we're doing it and the way forward. So it's just a positive attitude. Then you got Kelly Hogan coming in, and she just radiates confidence, and it makes she just makes you feel good just standing next to her. And same thing with Dr. Cliff. So it's awesome. And I find out I have some carnivores that are real close to me. It's getting really loud back behind me. So is the carnivore angel on? I would say hi to her.
Yes, Amy.
Yes, I'm here. Sorry, I was unmuting real quick.
Hi, Amy. I was
How's
talking
it
about
going?
Good.
I'm sorry I couldn't be
I'm
there.
on a call that you're on, but it's kind of noisy back here, so it's hard to hear.
That's okay. Have fun. Eat a lot of steak for us.
Yeah. It's nice to see you.
You too. Have fun.
Thanks.
Bye, Tom. Thank you so
All right,
much.
Emily.
and tell everybody I said hello.
I will. You want to meet Kelly Hogan real quick?
Yeah.
All right, hold on a second. Let me see if I can grab her. She's very popular, as you know. I see her over there. She's got a nice cool hat on. Hold on a second. Uh-oh, she's meeting somebody. I don't want to interrupt.
This is I don't know where Tony's thing is, but this is a very large gathering of out of town like carnivore food.
She's talking to somebody right now.
Thank you.
Hi, Kelly.
Hi, how you doing, Emily?
Good. I'm having my Saturday food support group, and we wanted to say hi to you.
I'm so glad to say hi to you too. Sorry, it's really loud over here.
It's okay.
Okay. Look, we're both in our red. Oh, we're all in red here. I'm glad we got that taken care of. Perfect. It's mine.
I know everybody matches. I didn't wear red today.
Oh, it's Amy. I just now seeing you, Amy. Hi. Sorry, it switches. Yeah, you know.
That's why I talked. I was like, that way I can say hi at least.
I'm so glad you did. That was a great idea. That's fun. So I feel like this year, all the people that are walking in, I feel like I know a lot of these people because I'm on Zoom a lot now with these folks. And last summer it was like, oh, hello. Who are you? I didn't know. And this year, that's fun. I know folks. So, y'all doing good?
That's awesome. We are doing great. We are creating that community, and I love that you're doing it in person. So thank you for continuing to spread your joy.
Oh, that's very kind. I wish y'all could be here and I'd hug you in person too. Thanks for taking the time to say hi.
Hi, Dr. Lisa.
Amy, come on too. Amy.
I know.
Talk, Amy.
Yeah.
I've never had Dr. Lisa on my channel.
There's Amy.
Yeah, I'm. Hi.
They want me. Sorry.
No problem. Thank you so much, Tom. I appreciate that.
That was awesome.
Yeah, and I'll see you next Saturday.
All right, have fun.
Bye.
Bye. How fun is that? Oh my goodness. That's the future. We're gonna have tons of community and meetups, and I think it's so important to, whenever we can't physically meet, that we can virtually meet and have this community to reinforce our beliefs. And Dr. Joan Iflin talks all the time in her book, about breaking that addiction to processed food, is those motor neurons, and they are in our bodies, and whenever they see somebody else who eats the same way, then they identify with that. And the cool part is that your body doesn't even know the difference between being there in person and being there on Zoom. And so I love that we can continue to have this community even through Zoom. But I would love to eventually be able to go and get those hugs and meet up with people in person. Oh, Emily says, that's awesome. I wonder if we have meetups in Canada. We should definitely look into that and see if there's any meetups in Canada. That would be amazing. Or Emily, why don't you start your own? She's like, so does anybody in the group or in the meeting today have anything that they want, a question that they want to ask, or maybe an update on how they're doing, or anything? Go ahead, Emily.
So, hi everyone, happy Saturday. I started watching your interview with Carnivore Yogi, the one that you sent me, and I'm only like 40 minutes into it, so I'm not done yet. But you started to talk about like how some people need to just jump right in like you did, and how other people need to take baby steps. And maybe you answer this at the very end of the clip and I haven't gotten there. But what I'm struggling with is, because I've tried both, and both have been equally difficult and had their fails and successes. And so I'm now torn as to which route I should take. Like, how do you know?
Yeah, that's really a tough one. And I think that comes with intuition, because you have to go the path of least resistance. And in my experience, I had the bipolar disorder, and it was like my superpower, in that I was able to jump feet first into this, and I didn't care what anybody thought. I was mentally ill. Like, I was just like, I'm doing this, and I don't care what my obstacles are. I'm going to keep doing this. But I recognized through hundreds of people that I've worked with clients, that it's not always the best approach, and that it's very important to gradually go into this, because I did have a lot of complications because I went so fast into this, that I would not have had if I had done this more gradually. And also, I believe that you're building a foundation, you're building a lifestyle. You're not doing a diet. If you were doing a diet, it really wouldn't matter. But you are building a foundation of something that's going to last for the rest of your life. So it's more important to place each brick and that mortar around each brick correctly and securely. Amy, is there anything that you wanted to add?
No, I actually love that you bring up the foundation, because the more that I work with people and the more that I think about this, you're absolutely right. It has to stick, because the next time that you take a step up, if you fall and you fall off of whatever it is that you're trying next, I want you to fall one step down, because your foundation is so solid that that's as far as you're going to go, just back to the level that you were at, and not all the way back to the bottom because everything else was so shaky and you kind of rushed through it or did it halfway, that it's going to catch you and it's going to stop you and go, okay, you're not ready for that yet, but you can still do this because you got so good at the last step that you were on. For some people, it's going to take a week. For other people, it's going to take a month to 3 months to 6 months, because I want you to be super strong and super confident. Like, he was saying, Kelly's just so confident. I know that each of us are capable of doing that. We just have to find our niche and what works for us and make each of these levels ours. It has to be personal. And you're like, I've got this. I know exactly how to do this. I know exactly what I need to do to succeed. And I'm so confident in it that it's second nature now. So that if you do fall, it's literally one step back. You're not falling down the flight of stairs. It's just one step back. Let me try a different way. Let me do something else. So I do still have the people that want to jump feet first all the way into the deep end. And some of them can handle it. But if you've tried both and both have failed, then I would really suggest doing the slower path and focusing on building that super solid, strong foundation, and understanding that each one of these is an accomplishment that you have overcome. And then if you do struggle, you're not falling all the way back to the bottom. You're able to keep moving forward because it was one step back instead of 5, 6, 10. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So how does that, I should clarify that I've had failure and success with both. So I've had failure with slow, I've had success with slow, I've had failure with fast, success with fast. It just depended on sort of how all of the different circumstances were happening, whether hormones, sleep, stress level, whatever was preceding my start date. So it's if I were to try and analyze it all, I think I would just get overwhelmed trying to figure out, well, why did it work this time and not this time? So I've given up trying to figure that out. But I guess the biggest thing that I still don't quite understand is, how does that look? Like, how does slow look if you're just looking at your addiction, not your, exercise, grounding, sunlight, like not all the things you could do for health, but if you're just looking at the addiction to the carbs and the sugar alone, like how does slow look? Is that like you're tracking and you just gradually cut a little bit back each day, or, how does that look?
What do you like to do, Emily? You can go ahead and start.
For me, I take more of an approach of, honestly, to be totally honest with you, of accountability. And even if you can't like afford a coach, get a friend, get somebody who is in this space who you can talk to, and just to out loud, or if you're all alone, on paper, and just say, this is my goal. This is my goal. This is my intention. And there's something about getting it out there, either through words to another human being or on paper. You're putting it out into the universe, and then that holds that space for that. And then allowing your body and your brain to come forth with that intuition to say, what do you think our first step should be? And I know this sounds ridiculous, but I really believe that there's so many times that we listen to this YouTuber, we listen to this doctor, we listen to this, we listen to that, and we don't just ask ourselves, hey, Emily, what do you think should be our goal, our first step for day one to get this goal? And so I don't mean to be general. I don't mean to be vague, but I really think that it's very important to include yourself in the strategizing, in what you're doing, and to celebrate each thing. My husband used to say this all the time, and it made me so mad. Like, I would just get so frustrated with him, but I would come and talk to him, and he's like, how was your day? What did you do? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I didn't get this done. I didn't get this done. I didn't get this done. And I didn't get this done. And he would be like, okay, but what happened today? And I'm like, well, I did this and I did this. And he said, each step is success. We need to celebrate the 2 things that I did get done. And he'd be like, that's great. He was like, you didn't do that yesterday, but you did it today. Each step is success. And at first I would just, oh man, it would just light me up. I would get so frustrated with him and think that he was just a fruitcake. But now I'm like, that's what we need to do. And then because I celebrated that each step was success, that multiplied. And it's just like it took away the barriers in my brain. And then I was able to, the next day, accomplish 4 things. And then the next day, accomplish 8 things, because I was focusing on the positive and I was celebrating the success instead of like lamenting all of the things that I didn't get done on my list.
Yeah.
Does that help?
Yeah, like the small wins, like I've heard people talking about, like even just making your bed and being like, I made my bed today, and that's something, like, and I do this with my kids, little habits, trying to build more responsibility, and they feel more self-confident and independent. It's just, I guess it's hard to do with myself because I don't trust my intuition, because my addiction part of my brain has sabotaged me so many times. I've lost so much confidence in myself because it's like, well, is that me like having an intuitive moment, a knowing, or is that my addiction being like, well, if you do this route, you can keep the addiction going longer, so that's what you should do. Like, it's just hard to differentiate between the parts of my brain.
Very, very good point. What I have found, though, is that addiction does not like to be seen. And so when you put things out in the open, the addictive mind does not like that. It doesn't like to be on display. And the addictive mind likes to be in the secret, likes to whisper in your ear, likes to say little things. But the second that you continue to say it out loud, either on a piece of paper or to a coach or to a friend. Whenever it's out loud, it's like this light can shine on it, and the addictive mind just like shrivels up into the shadow. And this is like, oh crap. Oh no. I can't whisper in her ear anymore because she told somebody or she put it on paper.
It's so true. And in fact, last year when I had my miraculous breakthrough, that like what you described, when you say, I look back and I can only really say it must have been a miracle that I was able to do that. And that's how I felt last summer. And it did start with accountability and transparency. Everyone knew I had a weight problem, but no one really knew the extent of my addiction except my own husband, really. And maybe my kids, but I did at night when they were asleep. So I don't know if they really fully understood. But when I started to share with my brother and sister-in-law my food journal daily, it was only about 1 week of sharing with them that I was so like, it's like it became more real. And I was like, wow, that is really bad. And I was consuming 4,000 to 5,000 calories, most of which were after 8 p.m. and all processed junk. And so putting it out there was like the first step. And then it was like, I don't want to do that anymore. Like, I want to put something in that food journal that I'm proud of, that I want them to go in there and look at. But then I look back and I'm like, was that the wrong motivation, pleasing people, to be like, ooh, look at how I'm doing now. This week was so much better than last week. Like, was I lacking an intrinsic motivation that made it more sustainable, more long-term? Because I did fall off the wagon, 6 months later, and now I'm still stuck.
No, I personally believe that sometimes it takes that external scaffolding that we have to build to really get to the point where we can create that internal motivation. And so I hate to say it like this, but you're kind of using the external people and trying to override that natural instinct inside of you that wants to please, until you get to the point where you are gliding through this and you are pleasing yourself. You are doing this for yourself. Because Emily, at the end of the day, you're not doing this for your brother. You're not doing this for anybody else. You're doing this for yourself. And so if you can trick your addictive mind long enough and build that scaffolding, you can eventually get to the place where you are the one and you are the reason and you're the one driving this.
Right. That makes sense. And being like putting boundaries in place so that once you get there, you've got that established, you don't let the addiction back in and then you're starting all over again. So thank you. That's a lot of food for thought. Thank you, Amy, as well. I really appreciate that.
Okay. I'm gonna give you a roadmap.
Ooh.
And it's, people want this. And so I have begun to figure out the roadmap to give them. And there's sometimes that I tell them this and they think I'm nuts and they don't want to do it. But the people who are serious about it, they'll listen to my absolutely crazy ideas. And let me tell you, it works every single time. My doggie is very sad that I am not in the room with her at my feet. So what you're going to do, everything that Emily said is 100% right. And what you're going to do is you are going to start talking to yourself. What I need you to do is I need you to pick one item, just one. I don't care if it's your Diet Coke. I don't care if it's a sweetener. I don't care if it's a veggie. I don't care what it is, but you're going to want to pick one item. And you're going to do this until that item is gone.
Ooh.
And once you are free from that item, that thing, you will then begin to see that this is a piece of trash because it does not bring me health. It does not bring me mental clarity. It does not find my center of brilliance. It is not feeding me. It is destroying me. And you will begin to see it as that. So we're just going to take, I'm just going to say, okay, a sweetener, whatever, one sweetener. I'm not talking about all sweeteners. I'm talking about one. And this is, yes, the longer path, but let me tell you, it's going to stick. So what you do is you go, I don't care if kids are asleep or they are just out of the room. You're going to be in the bathroom and you're going to look yourself in the mirror because there's something that happens when you see someone speak, and it doesn't matter if it's yourself. And when you hear something, it activates different parts of your brain. This is why when you're homeschooling your kids, you want to write it down, you want to say it out loud, and then you want to have them repeat it back to you, because they learn all three of those ways. So you are going to write it on your mirror or on a sticky note that you can hide somewhere away from other people, but you will still find it. Or you can write it on a piece of paper. Whatever this item is, I am going to use half of what I used yesterday, or a quarter, or, whatever. If you used 7 teaspoons yesterday, I'm going to use 6 teaspoons today. And you're going to do this little bit by little bit. And you're going to look at yourself in the mirror after you write this down. And you're going to say to yourself, I am worth this. I am going to do whatever it is that I wrote down on this paper. You are going to smile at yourself in the mirror. You're going to feel ridiculous, but you're going to smile at yourself in the mirror. And you are going to say, I love you more than I love this item.
Ooh.
And you might be doing it for your brother. You might be doing it for your kids right now. But the thing is, eventually you're going to realize that you're worth it too. Because that's the way I started. I started doing everything for my children, because I can't be a good mom if I'm not okay. And I can't be a good wife if I'm not okay. And eventually I got sick doing all of this to be healthy for everyone else. And then I went, oh my gosh, I'm doing it for them and not for me. And I finally realized that I was worth it, but it took me 3.5 years to get here. So looking at yourself in the eyes, in the mirror, and smiling and saying, I love you. I love what we're going through together. Yes, you're talking to yourself. I know it's nuts. But when you hear those words and you see that coming out of someone's mouth, anyone's mouth, even if it's yours, it sparks a new spot in your brain and in your heart, and it sticks. Now, you can absolutely work with someone else who will be very happy to look you in the Zoom camera and say, I love you and you are worth it. But loving yourself, that is part of overcoming these addictions. And so it sounds so silly, but talking to yourself in the mirror, you're going to do that with one item until you are free from that item. And then you're going to recognize what a trash that item is. You are a queen. You do not eat trash. You do not eat the leftovers that the peasants get. You are going to put things into your body that are going to bring you health and stamina and mental clarity. And you're going to then move on to the next one. And by that point in time, you're probably going to be like, okay, that actually wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. And sometimes it picks up. Sometimes you save the best for last. And feel free to, in Emily's group, I have a Facebook group. I have a lot of people that post. I'm going to hold myself accountable. I'm telling you guys what's going on. And every day they check in with the things that they're working on getting rid of. I do not allow any slander. I do not allow any bullying. Well, you shouldn't be on that anyways. I've kicked many people out for that. We speak encouragement to one another because you don't know where someone else is. And being vulnerable to other people is part of the healing process. So finding your tribe, your group of people that you can trust, that you can say those things to, that aren't going to judge you, and they're not going to tell you what to do either. That can be a huge help in this ridiculous fight against our addictions.
So is it like with debt repayment where they say that even if like your highest interest loan is your biggest one, you should start with your smallest one because then you have a victory sooner?
You got it. That is exactly what it is. You got to see those little tiny successes. And sometimes it'll help you realize that I was addicted to something I didn't even realize I was addicted to. And you'll begin to get over those things and you begin to be honest with yourself. But those little victories are absolutely the key. Do something super simple first. Wait until you have got stamina, until you have got the strength and the tools necessary to overcome your final hurdle. That is off in the future. It's all good. You'll get there when you get there.
Yeah, I should probably throw my scale away, because I think that part of why I get so frustrated with the slow process is because the slow process involves regaining weight that I worked so hard to lose. And then I get stuck on the failure, seeing that number go up instead of like, but hey, you did this better today. You slept more. You know, if that's all I did was sleep more, it's like I should be able to celebrate that. But if I slept more and gained 2 pounds, I'm depressed. And so I should probably, it's hard. Maybe I'm addicted to my scale. Maybe that's where I should start.
I love that. So you could always donate your scale to the garbage man's wife. That's the way I say it. I'm like, put it in the trash can. Or it needs to go in a timeout and it needs to be boxed up, taped up, and put in the garage under 18 other boxes. If you don't want to throw it away, I know sometimes those scales are expensive.
Yeah. Hide it in the crawl space, way in the back.
Exactly. That would be the perfect place to start. I think you just figured out, using your own intuition, where you need to start on this journey. As long as it takes, as fast as it takes, as long as it sticks.
Yeah, that's going to be hard, but yeah.
Yeah,
accepted.
Because I really believe that the scale is a liar. I believe that sometimes pictures are liars and measurements are liars as well, but they're less of a liar. So if you really do need to have that, that proof, then I would say get a measuring tape, write down those numbers, measure your arms, measure your thighs, measure your gut, measure your butt, measure everything, write it down, fold it up, and put it away for a month. And then look at those measurements again in a month. Or pictures. I have had so many clients who have taken before pictures, compared them to pictures a month later, and they're like, oh, and they send them to me and they're like, oh my goodness, do you see this dent? Do you see where there's like this shape in my body? And I'm like, yeah, I see it. It's obvious. It's amazing. And they had no idea that they had made any progress until they saw that.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, because you can be losing fat and gaining muscle if you're more active, like, or, you know, gaining bone density even, who knows, right? I've heard that. But it's hard when, you know, mainstream sort of health and fitness people are, it's very focused on the number. And so you get it in your head that like, that's how I know how well I'm doing. But if it's sabotaging you, which clearly it is, it's not worth it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. I have one lady in my Mighty Network who has gone, she hasn't lost a single pound, not a single pound. She has gone from a size 18 to a size 10 pants.
Wow.
She hasn't lost a single pound. And so, yeah, that scale, that is her motto. Her mantra now is the scale is a liar.
Yeah.
It really is. It really is. And what I hate is that people use the scale to punish themselves, that they will continue to, like, if the scale doesn't say what they want it to say, that they will punish themselves. And what they're doing is they're really complicating the experiment. You know, if you think about it, a scientist observes and documents. A scientist does not judge and punish. So we need to be a scientist and do this experiment where we are observing and we are documenting what is happening and what we're doing on our experiment to, get to health. Because health is what matters, it really is. I mean, that's what's going to keep us around for the long haul.
Yeah. And I guess because I was, morbidly obese, and as I got larger, the health conditions got more severe. In my head, I associated the two. And so, you know what I mean? It's like the correlation. I didn't have the health problems when I didn't have a weight problem. So in my head, they match up. But I can see though that like it confuses you, and it distracts you from what you should focus on. And so even if there is a correlation, it doesn't really matter if it's going to cause problems for you, as it has for me.
Yeah. And like Amy's analogy of the roadmap, fortunately or unfortunately, we don't have to go the straight path. We are going to go to this stop, and then we are going to go to this stop, and then we are going to go to this stop, and we're going to have to go back to this stop, and we're going to have to go to that stop. It's going to be an interesting road, to say the least. It's not going to be a straight shot. And we just have to enjoy the journey all along the way.
Yep. Weight loss is a happy side effect of getting healthy. Because I know some people, it's so funny, everyone's like, it's all about the weight loss. I'm like, I know some full-grown women, 5'8", they weigh 100 pounds. They're not healthy. Weight loss does not equate to health.
Yep, absolutely. And interesting, I know someone who's like 350 pounds, yet she's been doing carnivore, and I think she was like 500. So she has lost a lot of weight, but she's still quite overweight. And yet she doesn't need her CPAP. She doesn't need medication for diabetes. There was something else, blood pressure. She's off all that. And like a lot of people wouldn't be off that so soon in their weight loss journey, but yet she's very wise and healthy in her mind to celebrate and focus on all of those health victories, regardless of what the scale says, which is amazing. Like I couldn't believe just changing, to a meat-based diet, she was able to do all that healthy progress despite still being, what most people would consider to be, she was morbidly obese, but yet she was not morbidly obese because of all the health progress she made.
Absolutely. And each step is success. I mean, losing your CPAP, that's huge success, and any medication that you can reduce is so worth it. And I definitely think that should be celebrated, because that multiplies, and really celebrating those small things. And Emily, I don't want to tell your story, but you've had some incredible success. Like already you've had some phenomenal success. And so I really see that it is difficult to, really hang on that. And I know that you want more, and I believe that there is more healing that's going to come. But if you could just get lost in your success that you've already had, then I really think that could multiply.
Yeah. Yeah, I should. And honestly, when I'm not eating lots of sugar and carbs, I am a lot more positive and focused on all my victories. It's really the anxiety that comes back with the poor eating that is making me so negative, because that's not who I am. That's not who I was a month ago when I was doing better. It's who I am right now though, because, in this moment, because my brain is clouded, with all the junk.
Yeah. I think anybody could listen to this conversation and just be like, oh, poor Emily, blah, 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 blah. But if they go to your Instagram, Emily, you inspire me. you have some of these videos, some of these clips, and I am inspired by your story and by your clips. And so I know that that is inside of you. And that's why I am so determined to help and to fight whatever this liar is in your head and say, no, that's not M. That's not her. That's a lie. This is who she is. This is who she will be. And she's going to continue to heal, and she's going to knock it out of the park. I cannot wait to see you continue to thrive.
Thank you. That means a lot to me, to have your moral support.
Always. And you're an Emily, so I got to love you.
Yeah, kindred spirits.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being transparent and telling your story and for sharing, because I cannot tell you how many people are going to hear what you're saying and be able to resonate with your feelings and your words. And this is going to help to inspire them. And I hope that they do go find you on Instagram at freed.m and watch your story as you continue to soar.
Thank you.
Thanks, Emily. So anybody else have a question or an update or anything that they would like to share? Just raise your hand or come off mute. Okay. If not, Amy, would you like to tell people what we're working on, or do you want me to start?
Yes, everybody's taken care of for the moment. So Emily and I are planning on doing a workshop together. And we are going to be talking about the moderate protein, much higher fat approach and what it's done for us. Because we thought we were doing everything right, and yet our health was still going downhill and not working out the way everyone said that it would. And we both were getting a little discouraged. Like, I remember Emily got some tests and she messaged me and she goes, why? How can I still be fighting this? I'm doing everything perfect and it's not working. So our stories are so similar, and we've had such amazing results from our own personal journeys from this. So we're going to be doing a workshop, and we're working on getting that set up. We're working on the dates. I think that they're almost solidified, but it's going to be absolutely incredible. The Emily and I are going to both co-teach in this, and then we're going to have Q&A sessions every day, every time after the meeting, to make sure that we get to answer everyone's questions. And it's our first one, so I'm super excited to see what happens with it. And it's like we get to make this camaraderie with the people that are in this group. We get to know them better and help them, and hopefully they'll get to see the same results that we've been seeing, because it's just so absolutely incredible. So what about you? What do you want to share about it?
Yeah, I think it's really important to say, just like Emily's story, that it's not just eat meat and you're going to heal. It's not just eat meat and you're going to be fine, and eat as much meat as you want. And that was the message that I got. And I was a good little doobie, and I ate my meat. I ate my pile of meat. I ate 1.5 pounds of meat. And then with the fat, I ate 2 pounds every day. And yes, I got healing. Oh my goodness, I got healing. I resolved bipolar disorder and got off all of my psych meds. I haven't been in the psych ward for 3 years. I've been totally resolved of those symptoms. That's a freaking miracle. I am so thankful for carnivore. So thankful for carnivore. And then I had multiple sclerosis. I couldn't walk without an assistive device. I had delayed and slurred speech. I had more significant brain fog with the MS than I ever did with the bipolar. And I kept eating meat and high amounts of animal fat. And I resolved. I haven't had any MS symptoms. I've had 6 MRIs, a lumbar puncture, blood work, and my last MRI showed no new activity. Am I thankful for carnivore? Yes. Oh my goodness, yes. I'm not in the psych ward. I'm not in the nursing home. Yes, I'm so thankful. But it wasn't the end of the story. There's still more healing for me to do. And so I want to encourage people who are on this journey, who may have, gotten off the CPAP, which I did get off of that. I had severe obstructive sleep apnea, and I had a CPAP, and they did another repeat sleep study, and it's completely resolved. I have no sleep apnea at all. Got off my blood pressure medicine. So I want to help the people who are doing what they're told to do. They're eating meat and eating fat, but they still have these things that are a problem. And I think I didn't realize, and Amy didn't realize, how sick we really are. A lot of people don't need this. A lot of people, they are metabolically healthy and that they are fine, and just eating meat and fat works, and they're good, and their body can regulate whatever. But there's something about me and Amy, and I'm sure countless other people, that need some fine tuning. And so once Amy and I discovered this for ourselves, we started going back to our clients and telling our clients about it, the ones that really needed it, and they are now implementing it, and they are having results, which is just phenomenal. And so now we're having people ask all these questions, and so we're like, okay, we need to do a workshop and just share what our experience has been, what we have learned. And the crazy thing is that I have been against, not just uncomfortable with or just neutral about, against chasing numbers. Absolutely against chasing numbers on the scale, but I'm against testing. I'm against all of that stuff because it's so difficult. And when I came into this, I couldn't have looked at numbers. I was mentally ill. I was completely incapacitated, and there's no way that I could have done that. But now that my brain is healing, I'm looking at the numbers. I'm looking at specifically blood glucose. And I had no idea that me, this exemplary little carnivore who's eaten only animal meat and animal fat, that I had high blood glucose. And it was because I was eating too much protein. I had no clue until I started measuring. And so now I am chasing the numbers, and I am finding healing. I am lowering my blood glucose, and it is amazing the difference that I'm seeing in my body. And I cannot wait until I get to do another blood test in October to find out what I'm actually doing to myself on the cellular level. So anyway, we are thinking that is going to be the first week of August. We are looking at a Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 10:30 a.m. to noon Central Standard Time. We're not solidified yet. As soon as we get the landing page, as soon as we get the website for you guys to register, we will. We're placing this at a value of $100 because obviously Amy and I are, our time is valuable and everything. But we, whenever you register on this website, there's a coupon for $100 off. So it is going to be essentially free. But we, it's just this passion for both of us, and we cannot wait to have these conversations with you guys. And we're really excited about this. Go ahead, Amy.
Yep. So many people think that carnivore is the ultimate answer. And for us, it fell short. For us, it got us close. It got us up there, but we still couldn't make it over the top. And so that's why we ended up calling this Beyond Carnivore.
Yes.
Because a lot of people see this as carnivore is the top, the epitome. For some people it is, but for some of us, we have to go beyond that. So that was a little bit on the title of where that came from. Our group, we even took our two logos and blended them together. My 16-year-old daughter came up with the new logo. So when we get to reveal that, that's going to be really cool.
Yes.
Emily, go ahead.
I'm so excited. Go ahead.
So I'm a little confused. As you know, I'm new to the whole, meat-based diet, animal product-based diet. And so I always thought that carnivore was like high fat, moderate protein. Is that completely wrong? Is it not?
It's supposed to be. It really should be. But a lot of people nowadays are saying, just eat meat. You should be eating 2 pounds of meat a day. Well, if you're eating a ribeye, it's going to be different fat than if you're eating a sirloin or chicken or anything else that you could be eating, or seafood. A lot of people like seafood, and so they eat a ton of seafood and hardly any fat with it. We've also been told to fear fat our entire lives. So they're like, well, I am eating high fat. Yes, I'm eating twice as much protein, but my fat is still high. To them, it's high. So for this, it's recommended to have your fat at 85% of your calories daily, and protein is at 15. That's it. So it's actually a very small amount of protein, and most people don't do that. They're going to eat the 16 pound steak. Good Lord in heaven. The 16-ounce steak. And yes, they're going to eat the fat with it. But that's more of a 1-to-1 if you're lucky on the fat to protein with a ribeye. And it's not enough. It's going to be like 60, 65%. Calorically, it'll be 65% fat. And that's, for a lot of people, maybe good. But if you overdo your protein and your body is anything like mine and Emily's, your body doesn't go, oh, I should burn the fat for fuel. It goes, look, extra protein. Let's turn this into sugar. And that's why our glucose began going up. My A1C was going up. Morning numbers were in the 90s. I know some carnivores that have been carnivore for years, they've got morning sugars at like 118, 123. That is, at 120, you are technically labeled a diabetic. They actually gave themselves diabetes by being carnivore.
Yikes. So although obviously protein's better than carbs for the glucose response, but I have heard that fat has pretty much, anytime you eat, there's slight response, right? But protein has more significant response, less than carbs, but still relative to fat, significant, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. And everybody's response is going to be a little bit different. Some people, they eat protein and their insulin spikes almost as high as it does for carbs. And you can actually see that if you do a continuous glucose monitor, or if you're checking your numbers, they'll eat protein and it'll go up, to, we'll call it 100. And if they eat carbs, it'll go up to 120. It's like, it almost went up as high. Whereas if they eat fat, it'll go up to 5 points up from where they were. And that's about it.
Would you say that it's all relative? So if you've been off carbs for a long time, then suddenly relatively the protein has more of an impact. Whereas if you're just at the start of your journey and you get rid of the carbs, then the protein relatively doesn't have such an impact.
Honestly, I think so. And I'm actually going to have the Dr. Boz, who this is her protocol that she promotes to people, but she really promotes it to people from standard American diet. And so she's talking all about the carbs and the carbs and the carbs. She does talk about the protein, but she doesn't really focus a whole lot on it. My people, we are a totally different breed. We're not coming from a whole lot of carbs. We're coming from a whole lot of protein. And so the physiology is different. The responses are different. So I really want to have her, I want to pick her brain about those and try to get it in a way that people can understand. Because we were, being told your hair is going to fall out. You're going to lose muscle if you don't eat enough protein. But there's a whole lot more to it than that. Because if you can get into an actual deep state of ketosis or a therapeutic state of ketosis, or just even a solid state of ketosis, it's protective against both of those conditions. So there's more to the puzzle than just you have to eat this much protein. It just kind of changes for everybody, and there's a lot to consider. So that's part of what this workshop is going to be, is breaking down the minutia of all of the levels of this and the steps that we have seen for our people who are already trying to be or have been low carb or very low carb, and yet they're still having problems. Even switching over to this, we bring the application part of it.
So would you say that the workshop is more geared towards people who are already fairly seasoned carnivores and just want to take it to the next level of healing? Or would someone like myself, who is, on week 2 of back on standard American diet, be confused by it? Would it be a little too much right now?
Nope, not at all. Honestly, this is for anyone who wants to find healing for their bodies. We're going to address the carbs. We're just not going to spend nearly as much time on the carbs, because we all know carbs are bad for us. We know. Do I still eat carbs sometimes? Yep. And I know that it's not great for me, but I thought that protein was where it was at. I thought that that's what I had to have. So kind of unlearning that is going to be a lot of the focus, because you already know, carbs are a no-no, and, we're working on it. We'll get there. But no, it's actually, a lot of it's going to be the science in layman's terms of what happens and why someone would want to do that, and why when you do carnivore or even keto or paleo, why you may not be getting the results that you're really wanting to get.
And what I love about it is that it's a continuum. So you can start anywhere on the continuum. You literally look at the continuum and you can see where you're at and where you want to go. So it's like a roadmap. It is the end of the hour. Thank you guys so much. I'm so excited to continue on this journey with you all. And I'm excited for the workshop Beyond Carnivore, and more details to come. Follow Amy at Carnivore's Angel. Follow me at Carnivore Minds, and we will be rolling out some more information about this. Thank you so much for being here every Saturday. I love talking to you guys and being here with you. Have a good one.
Bye, guys.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed the group. There is always so much beauty in being transparent and in really recognizing that we're all not alone on this journey. And so if you want to, feel free to join the Saturday support groups. They're every Saturday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. And if you need more individualized care, then reach out to me and email me at innerclaritysystem@gmail.com. And I would love to walk through and show you what it looks like to work with me one-on-one. All right. Thanks. Take care.